You're listening to Superpowers of the Soul on the Superpower Up Podcast, the show that elevates superpowers to the divine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Jennifer Urezzio, and this is Superpower. I'm a superpower expert and founder of Soul Language, and you're listening to Superpowers of the Soul. And I'm here today with Lisa Manyon, and we're talking about creating solutions with conscious thought. And I'm so excited. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I am delighted to be here.
Yay. So I always like to start off with, what do you consider the superpower of your soul?
I would say the superpower of my soul is truly my intuition.
I'm nodding my head. And I'm nodding my head going, yes, there's more there. And no, it's a complete stop. Yeah, totally. I would agree with that. And so how have you utilized and developed that superpower throughout your life?
Well, it's interesting. I think sometimes we're a little mystified by our intuition. And sometimes when we just know things, it can be uncomfortable. So I didn't always embrace it. And sometimes it kind of scared me, right? Just to know, oh my gosh, how do I just know these things? And why is it that I have this sense that something's going to happen, or I can make these marketing predictions and they come true? What is that all about? And so I guess it took a little bit of course correction on my part to embrace it, as opposed to be a little bit of afraid of it, to be very transparent, and to realize this is truly a divinely guided gift. And when we tap into that inner flow and we really tap into our connection with source and divinity, whatever that means to you is completely up to you. For me, it's just tapping into what I know to be a power much bigger than me that guides me with love and truth. And I can trust that, and I can lean into that and honor it. So I guess I've honed it by acknowledging that, by moving away from fear and into love, and also by doing a lot of, prayer and meditation. I think that we often complicate things when there's little things we can do, like sitting in silence for a bit or saying a prayer that can really tap us into that deeper truth and guide our intuition to even greater heights.
I love that. That's how I started, kind of before I heard what soul language was. What I heard, what I was teaching people was how to use their intuition. And it's really, yes, it's a superpower. And why it's a superpower is like you have to understand how your intuition talks to you, right? Because it's going to be different than mine. And everyone has that muscle, which I love, because everyone has this superpower of this interaction with divinity. So, so often on the show and in my work, I talk about sacred purpose. Lisa, what do you call your sacred purpose? Like, what is that definition of why you're here?
Well, my sacred purpose is, number one, to do all things with love, but it's also a divinely guided purpose. So I was given the charge to help shift and change the trajectory of marketing, advertising, and copywriting, and to flip the script to focus on passion points instead of pain points, which I've been carrying out beautifully for well over a decade. And it's really starting to catch on more now.
Thank God.
I know, thanks. But here's another piece of it, Jennifer, that I haven't talked a lot about yet that I think is really fascinating. But I mentioned that it's to do all things with love. So I got the divine nudge that, yes, you're going to change marketing, advertising, and copywriting. That's great. And then I got another divine nudge last year. And it was that I was going to heal cancer with love. And that's going to sound a little crazy. But the truth is, I'm now sharing a little bit about my personal journey and how through coupling Western medicine, a couple of surgeries, as well as my absolute faith and my intuition and changing everything in my life, that I was able to heal with love and heal myself with love. So those are pretty big things and pretty big messages that I keep getting. I call them God nudges to share more and more with the world. And so that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. And, I think it's so important that when we have that leading by soul, that we follow it. And also, as an aside, if you don't follow it, nothing terrible is going to happen to you. That's one of those fear things that I think spiritual people use, which annoys the Jesus out of me. Like this judgment that if you don't follow, your sacred purpose, then, you're never going to be happy. That, no, it's all about choice. So I always have resonated with things that you've said. So again, we're kind of right on the same page. What has been that common theme, the big theme that your soul has shared with you over your entire journey?
Just seriously to trust my own truth. And I know that we all have that little part of us, that who am I voice that rears its head and shrieky little voice when we start to stand in our power and share our truth and our messages that make us doubt ourselves a little bit, right? That make us think, wait a minute, other people are doing something so different. Who am I to share this new message of focusing on passion instead of pain and healing with love and doing all of these things? And so it's really listening to not only that intuition, but your own truth, because we can get derailed by others who are maybe well-intentioned, sometimes not, wanting us to adopt their principles or buy into their programs or whatever it might be. And so staying that course is vital.
Yeah, beautifully said. You talked about how your soul supports people, with this love, loving cancer, healing from cancer and spreading that message and spreading the message of focusing on the passion rather than pain. What are some of the other ways that your soul supports others and has supported you?
Wow, that's a really good and deep question. I love this conversation. I'm going to think about that for just a second. I know I'm live and on the spot, but one thing that I can always say is that I know I'm always going to be taken care of, and that knowledge and that inspiration helps me course correct when I'm getting nervous, or, maybe there's a time in my life when I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this big contract didn't come through. What am I going to do? I still need to, meet those projections or whatever it might be. It's going back to that place where we know that we're going to be okay, right? There's never been a day where the Creator didn't provide or where I didn't have a place to live. And I know that that's not true of everyone. But when we get into the right mindset and we really tap into that deeper knowing that we really are taken care of and that we really are loved, that's how I believe my soul supports me. And by sharing it with others, it's how my soul supports others. So when we're walking in our truth and we're truly shining our divine light, it lifts others up. And that's what we're here to do, to lift each other up, not tear each other down.
Yeah. Again, on the same page, so often, I'll go, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm doubting again. Oh my God, I can't believe I just spent all of that energy worried about this thing. And then when I just pause and I just focus on that connection, and I focus on that feeling of being home, that feeling of, freedom, that feeling of deep safety within, something freaking amazing happens that I could never, ever, come up with in a wildest, dreams. And then I always say, God, and again, that's what I call my higher power. You could call it universe, tree, Bob, God, cupcake, rock. We don't care. And I always go, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that, I played that game again. And the God's response is always the same. No, Jen, I'm sorry that you played that game again, right? You are that divinity and allowing that access to it. So, wow, lots of fun, powerful conversation here. Before we go on break, tell people, Lisa, how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Well, you can always find me on my website at Write on Creative, which is WRITE, like you're writing, writeoncreative.com.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, you've been listening to me, Jennifer Urezzio, and Lisa Manyon, and our topic today is creating solutions with conscious thought.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/thenet to learn more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Jennifer Urezzio, and you are listening to the Superpowers of the Soul. I am talking today with Lisa Manyon, and our topic is creating solutions with conscious thought. Welcome back, Lisa.
Thanks. This is really an incredible conversation, Jennifer. Thank you so much for what you do in the world.
Thank you. So let's talk about conscious solutions and conscious thought. You know, you're what I would call a marketing maven. You know, my history was my first job, my only corporate job, which lasted 17 years, was in marketing and PR, right? And the media loved me because I would tell the truth. My clients hated me because I would tell them the truth, you know. And when I stepped into this kind of spiritual world, what happened was I was like, everyone kept on, well, you got to talk about the pain. You got to talk about the pain. And I'm like, yeah, no freaking way am I talking about the pain. And so that is a fundamental belief of yours, of not talking to the pain, about talking to the passion, and about creating this solution with this conscious way of marketing or conscious thought. Why do you think people kind of get stuck in the talking to the pain?
Well, first of all, it's what's been taught throughout the ages, right? And so it's just ingrained. It's in the books. It's in what the copywriting leaders teach. It's in what marketing leaders teach. It's what mentors teach. When I started my business well over 15 years ago now, and I started studying with some of the top marketers and copywriters out there, it's what was being used and it's what was working. And I sat back again with that little who am I voice thinking, but this doesn't feel right. You know, why would you want to poke at people's pain points and agitate them to get them into a heightened emotional frenzy just to sell them something? And I kept, watching this, and it made me feel so just icky inside. It was like, oh, we're in enough pain. We don't need to do that. And then also, as I observed it, I was like, and not only that, poking at the pain points perpetuates buyer's remorse, and it increases return rates. And it wasn't just an observation. It was people coming to me and saying, hey, we've invested in these gurus, these experts, these sales pros, and we've
got $25,000.
Totally. And we've got all the pain points lined out. Nothing's working. And I just kind of bring them back home is the way I like to put it, is let's go back to your truth and let's look at what is this formula you're using. And it was the problem, agitate, and solve approach. And I'm like, and how does that feel to you when someone puts your pain and your problem in your face and rubs it in? Do you want to play with them? And light bulbs would go off, and my clients would say, no, I don't. And oh my gosh, I see how I'm actually alienating those I'm meant to serve by using this approach. So it was very energetic in nature. And I continued to teach this a different way, which I call the challenge, solution, and invitation framework, because it's totally customizable. It's not cookie cutter or paint by numbers. And really, we just meet people where they are with empathy and understanding. We offer our solution in a very helpful way where we're illustrating our value proposition and maybe how we've gotten results and, tangible outcomes for others. So we're equipping people with the information they need to make a natural choice to do business with us. And then we can just graciously and with grace extend an invitation to take that next step, whatever that next step might be.
Yeah. And, a couple of things here. If you want to be conscious in your thought, that thought is going to be different than the problem. In order to be in the solution, you have to be conscious, and one of the first things you said was it felt icky, and I say, especially when talking to clients about their marketing tasks, because it comes up and I'll go, okay, so does that feel good for you? And they're like, no, it feels icky. I'm like, why are you doing it? Right?
Exactly.
Because if it feels icky, and we're not talking about resistance, that's different. We're talking about that it makes your stomach hurt, that you feel icky about it, that you want to cave into yourself, that it feels off, then it is off. And especially if you're, what they call a spiritual entrepreneur, though your clients, your potential community, they are going to know that, and something's going to feel off. in the way they're communicating with you. So, so often I think people come to their marketing and go, I don't know how to explain what I do, and what are some of the answers, quote, solutions that you would offer them about how to start to understand how to explain?
Well, here's the beauty of it. So within the super easy framework that takes all the pain out of marketing, the challenge, solution, and invitation, your answer, your magic is in the solution. So you look at how are you helping people? And look at the stories that your clients have come back and shared with you about the results that they have received or the transformation. So there's tangible results, as in maybe I made X amount of money, but there's also transformational results where, gosh, this one small shift in thinking helped me apply your methodologies and I got more business. So there's all kinds of, or it removed decades of blocks I had around marketing, which is something I hear often. People will hear what I'm sharing and they'll be able to share their magic more readily. And a big piece of sharing your magic, especially if you're resistant and you're not really sure how to package that, is to focus on those passion points and paint a picture of possibility about what life will be like once people have experienced your product or service. And I share that because when we're just starting out, we might not have those case studies or testimonials. So we need to start building towards getting those. And to do that, painting a picture of possibility with your clear intentions about how you create transformation, get results, whatever it might be, is going to be the easiest pathway to getting that message out in a clear way.
Yeah. I hear, in fact, somebody just emailed me on Facebook, was like, your discovery session, I believe, allowed me to talk about myself or feel differently. And I gained, more client, work from this one client. Of course, she said it much more eloquently. But, I hear that all the time. You're like liquid nitrogen, wait, I've been going to therapy for 15 years. We talked for 15 minutes and it's kind of like gone, right? And so it's also about, I think, really allowing yourself to be conscious about your goodness. I think so often people, don't want to kind of pat themselves on the back or promote themselves. And I think it's a hang up because what they really don't want to do in that situation is promote the pain. And they're kind of confused about that. Would you agree?
Oh, that is the biggest block that I see, especially to success for spiritual entrepreneurs, mission-based entrepreneurs, and business owners, whatever you want to call it. In fact, people will come to me and they're really stuck and they've actually been damaged in multiple ways from being kind of feeling like they were forced into having to poke at those pain points and having to use that approach. And when people hear that, no, we can actually create marketing messages with integrity by focusing on those passion points instead of pain points, that alone, Jennifer, has lifted blocks that have been there in people seriously for decades. I mentioned that before, and I'm not making this up. They breathe a sigh of relief and they realize, oh my gosh,
this could be fun.
Yeah. And we can build relationships. And guess what? That's what marketing's all about, right? It's about the relationships. It doesn't mean you're going to be someone's best friend, but they have to know you and like you and trust you. And if you're manipulating them into that by poking at pain points, it's broken. So what I tell people is, if you're trying to create from a broken formula that doesn't feel good to you, how do you actually expect to get results?
Beautifully said. So we're almost out of time. Can you imagine that? So before I ask the last question, how do people get in touch with you again?
They can visit my website, which is writeoncreative.com, and it's WRITEONCREATIVE.com. And people can even give me a call at my 800 number, which is 866-620-1428.
Beautiful. So it's just my kind of a little weird little question, but I love the answers that it generates. Like, so if you were a magnet on God's refrigerator, what would it say?
Be love.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Lisa, for being here and for participating in this topic, creating solutions with conscious thought. My name is Jennifer Urezzio, and I've been talking with Lisa Manyon. And if you liked what you heard today, you can connect with me and all of the other experts in the Superpower Net at superpowerexperts.com/the net. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.